back to my channel. It's your girl Jackie Aina. If you are new here, thank you so much for watching today's video. I'm going to be very candid in this video. That's just how I roll. Please don't be alarmed by the maybe seemingly uncomfortable topic, but I'm just going to be very blunt, and I also kind of like to make things fun because I mean, yeah, I'm an adult, but it's okay to make a joke about things. Like, it's not that deep, you know, just lighten up a little bit, girl. The topic of today's video is female hygiene, keeping the kitty clean. Some people don't really like when I'm not serious about topics like these, but I'm not a gynecologist and I'm not claiming to be. I'm just giving you guys tips that I feel have worked for me over the years. Obviously, I know what it's like to have a vagina. I think they're relatively easier to maintain than people give them credit for, okay? She's a simple girl. This video is going to probably shock some people. Some people are probably gonna hear some tips that they've never heard before, and you know what? I don't judge people. I got tons upon tons of requests to talk about this topic. I think one, because people are just curious to hear like what other women do. I kind of am. Like, I ask, like, we have to learn these things from somewhere. Some people don't have a motherly influence at home that can teach them these types of things. My mom growing up was very candid and very blunt, and I was never new or shy about talking about topics like these because that's just not how we were in my family. I knew everything. I knew what to put in there, what not to put in there. And that was really vulgar. Some things that I'm gonna say in this video people are not gonna like, and that's okay. Not everything that works for me is gonna work for you, and vice versa. There's always an exception to the norm, but there's still a norm. Like, I'm going to be saying you shouldn't do this, and someone in the comments is gonna go, but I do that. Wonderful, but that does not mean that's recommended for everyone else. So let's just throw that out there, get that out the way, because I know sometimes people feel some type of way. So let me just get real comfortable. Me and Kitty. Okay, one thing I think we should also talk about is every woman has a smell. It may not necessarily be a bad smell, but it is normal to have somewhat of a scent, just like your body odor has a scent. It may not necessarily be bad, but everybody does have like a signature, you know, a scent. It's a scent, to put it quite bluntly. But I'm one of those people who I look at my bowels every time I have one, and you know, you got to make sure everything's balanced, girl. So sniff. Don't be afraid to sniff. If you gonna expect your boo thing to sniff, you shouldn't be scared of the sniff too, just to make sure things are running properly, okay? If you manage a business, would you leave your business abandoned for weeks at a time? No, you gotta check in. You gotta make sure your employees are all good, right? Okay? So make sure that you're regularly looking for discharge. If you do have discharge, note what color it is, what shade it is, how thick it is. Things like that are super, super important, because if you're not paying attention to those things, then how are you gonna know when something changed? How are you gonna be able to pick up on a cue that something is wrong, okay? So that's very important. I would say one of the biggest, the most important way to keep the kitty, the flower, satisfied, balanced, free of odor is diet, guys. And I say this because I've tested it. Whenever I eat pretty clean, like when I say relatively clean, I don't have the best diet. I really don't. If I pretty much don't eat any sugar in a day, I notice that there's pretty much no odor. There's no smell at all. It just smells like nothing, pretty much, or whatever nothing is on my body. Let's just say I like the way she smells better when I don't eat sugar, okay? This is how in tune I am with my body. Like, I know when I ate something that may change something, and I just know my body. I just know, okay? Me, we have a very, very tight-knit relationship, me and the kitty. Drinking a lot of water is so important. Why? Because your obviously waste comes out of that area, so flush it out. You know, she gets thirsty just like you, okay? The body just runs on water. Drinking water is just good. Get everything out, keep it clean. Take this tip from Erykah Badu like I did. If you've ever had a urinary tract infection, there's a reason why they tell you to drink cranberry juice. And I've heard that raw cranberry juice is better because I guess there's like more nutrients or something. I learned that one from Erykah Badu. But when I tell you, there is nothing more truer than cranberry juice for keeping the cat smelling and probably tasting delicious, okay? It really does help to flush. It really does help to flush any bacteria, any unwanted, just outside intruders keeps it clean, okay? I've been unfortunate enough to have a urinary tract infection. Please, if you don't know what a UTI is, look it up. It is not a sexually transmitted disease, guys. You can get a UTI not from sex before we even just, because I know the comment like, ah! Focus, okay? A urinary tract infection is when your urinary tract is infected. You can get it from being dehydrated. You can get it from having too many processed sugars. It's actually weird because cranberry juice is so sweet that you would think that that'd be too sugary, but it's actually really, really good. So if you're looking for something that you can add to your diet that you can drink regularly, try cranberry juice. It really, really does keep you clean and flushed out. The tips on the diet are pretty self-explanatory. Like any doctor's gonna tell you, stay away from sugar, eat lots of fruits and vegetables, and drink a lot of water. That's just the generic stuff that we're supposed to do anyway, right? Let's talk about washing, because I feel like this is very important, and I feel like there's a lot of people who are probably gonna be shocked by the information that I'm going to share. I do not use soap on my nether region at all. It's not groundbreaking. Some of you guys probably already know this, and I would hope that you would know this, and this is not shocking to most women, but I was always taught, and I've always found to be true, that the less that I use down there as far as like chemicals, soaps, even like feminine hygiene washes, which are great when you're on your period, because by the way, guys, most of these tips do not apply for when you're menstruating, because you can't really, like with regard to like odor and stuff, like not to be squirmish or anything like that, but there's really nothing you can do to change the smell of that. Just let it pass through, okay? Make sure you're nice and just don't be walking around with short skirts, you know, where she's exposed to civilization. You can't really affect how that odor. It's going to smell. It's going to smell a little different from your normal routine, right? Because that's blood. Again, very blunt, but you know, we all grown. I do use a feminine wash most of the time when I'm on my period. It's a little different when you're on your period, right? But for the most part, the vagina is a self-cleaning oven, meaning you don't really have to put anything in there to get it back to normal. Some soaps have a different pH, especially like the soap that you use in your body. It's got a different pH than the pH of the nether region. So if you start putting soaps in there, it's gonna throw everything off. I personally have never had a yeast infection in my entire life. I'm 28 years old. Don't get me wrong, it is extremely, very much so, a normal part of being a woman. I get it. I'm not knocking anyone who has had that in their life, because it's so normal. Like, it's not that big of a deal. You know, it happens to everyone. I personally never had one, but I have a really close friend who was using feminine wash so frequently, it started to give her yeast infections. And that's not the first time I've heard that before. I've heard from women, different close friends of mine, not just on the internet, guys, that using feminine washes too frequently throws off the pH and they caused yeast infections. I do own them and I use them. The one that I like is from Summer's Eve, and I do make sure she's unscented, because you don't need no scent down there except the God-given scent that he was blessed with. This is the Delicate, and it's for sensitive skin. It claims to be pH balanced, but I just would not feel comfortable using it every day. And I don't have, like, water is all you need. Water is all you need. You know what? Get yourself a detachable shower head for a lot of different reasons, okay? And if you grow, you know where I'm going with this, but get yourself a detachable shower head, okay? And literally, I get in the shower, I actually clean her first before I do anything else. First thing I do when I get in the shower is I clean my nether region, and I'll just take my shower head for about 3 to 5 minutes. Maybe longer, depending on what kind of day I'm having. You know, you just let it clean. Let it clean. I've got a shower head that has multiple different settings. Water is just fine. At the end of the day, I like check to see if my scent is off or if it smells different. Is that like weird? Like I can't be the only woman who does that, but I check for the smell frequently. Not for pleasure, but like just because it's to me, it's as routine as doing a breast exam. It's just a part of being a woman, and it's just something that I like doing regularly. Again, as I mentioned earlier, because you know, I gotta make sure my employees are all showing up to work on time. Everybody's doing what it's supposed to do, right? Do not douche, okay? Now, my grandma taught me that. My grandma is old school, so if your grandma's telling you something, then that means her folks knew what was good back in the day. So you shouldn't either. Some people are going to find that controversial. Somebody's like, nothing's ever happened to me when I've douched. Okay, fine. There's always an exception to the norm, but douching actually throws out the pH of the vagina. It's basically like a deep cleanser. Like, it just flushes everything out. It's not only taking out the bad bacteria, it's also taking out the good bacteria. When you take out the good bacteria, it leaves more room for yeast to breed all up in your garden. You don't want, yeast is not invited to this party. Yeast does not pay rent. Yeast is not a VIP guest here, okay? Yeast is just not on the guest list, so just don't do it. Some people like doing it after their period is ended just to kind of start things fresh. I've never needed to douche because I just feel like the body does that on its own. I just go back to my regular routine after my cycle has ended of using water. I do throw in the summer's eve a couple more times just to kind of like, okay, you need to really we need a little extra work down, a little extra bubbles. But other than that, like, usually water just works fine. I just feel like the body is going to do what it's supposed to do. Like, what do you think all these people back in the day, you know, like Adam and Eve, like, what do you think they did before they had summer's eve? You know, like, obviously the body's going to do what it's going to do regardless. If you're just not comfortable sleeping commando, try to get more comfortable sleeping without underwear. It's really important to let the vagina breathe at night, let it air out. Wearing cotton underwear is usually more recommended because cotton breathes, whereas like silk does not allow it to breathe down there, or at least underwear with like a cotton lining. I don't think you necessarily have to be completely shaved to keep the odor down. Some people say you do, some people say you don't. I do think you have to work a little bit harder. Yeah, like I don't really feel like there's any correlation between having body hair and having an odor, not necessarily. But I do think that you definitely have to work a little bit harder because, you know, you start sweating and things, it just gets really annoying. And overall, I'm not anti have body hair, you know, like, I'm like, do what works for you. If you don't want to shave, don't freaking shave. Don't freaking wax. You guys know I'm going through laser hair removal. I personally just feel like it makes maintaining it easier. Just a little bit easier. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Most important tip. Please, please, please urinate after doing the nasty. Please pee after sex. Please pee after you have sex. Please. Men, you guys are just nasty, okay? You guys are just nasty. You just shoot your arrows inside of us, and what if I'm not planning on having kids, okay? Whatever, if it's not your children, I'm getting rid of it. My body's going to get rid of it, okay? Taking the trash out. All that insertion in and out, that's a disruption in the workforce, and you need to get it back out, okay? So immediately after sex, go to the bathroom, rid yourself. Chances are you probably have to go pee anyway, so just do it. Hopefully you guys found this helpful. If anybody, this is not coming from a place of ridiculing or being negative or anything like that. I just really, genuinely really feel like there's a lot of people who watch me and don't get the type of advice from home that they should. I'm not really uncomfortable talking about the topic because I know what works for me, and it's definitely a normal part of life. It's definitely a natural part of life. I know what I know because it's been proven to be true, effective, and this is just what works for me. Always back it up by, you know, don't be afraid to ask your gynecologist, or don't be so squirmish that you can't ask mom. If mom's being a weirdo, then hey, that's what we're here for. So if you have questions, leave them down below. And what the hell was that? See, that's what happens when you use a douche. That's what happens. Also, ladies, be careful who you take advice from, because especially when I'm recording, thank you. Some of y'all stanky friends, they mean well, but listen, okay, if I wanted to learn how to play golf, okay, just an example, would I ask Steph Curry for advice? No. Steph Curry is not a golf player. If you're not where I want to be, I don't need your unsolicited advice, okay? Especially when it comes to that type of thing, okay? So just be careful with who you take input from. If a lot of people are saying something, or if a lot of people are advising you against something, it's probably for a reason. There are a lot of women on the earth, okay? And a lot of us have been on this train a little bit longer than others. I mean, they could probably teach you what not to do. But do you see where I'm going with this? People mean well, but they don't always know what's right and what's wrong. And a lot of stuff like this is just, you just have to experience it. Sometimes you just have to experience it just to say, oh wow, now I know to never do that again. Okay, so hopefully you guys found this video helpful. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for hanging out today, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Bye!